Welcome students. We are studying about animal tissue. We have till now studied about epithelial tissue and connective tissue. Today we will be studying about muscular tissue. Muscular tissue are long elongated cells, and since these are elongated, generally these are referred as muscle fibers. These muscular tissue or muscle fibers are responsible for movement inside the body. All the movement in our body takes place with the help of these muscles. These muscular tissue has a special contractile protein inside it, and these proteins contracts and relaxes, which creates a push and pull in the muscles, which ultimately results in the movement. So these muscular tissue, sometimes with the help of bone and sometimes alone, makes the movement possible. So let's study in detail about this muscular tissue. The muscular tissue are made up of long and narrow cells which are elongated in shape, and that's why these are referred as muscle fibers. These are responsible for movement, and this contains a special contractile protein which brings about the contraction and relaxation in the muscle cells. Muscles play a role in almost every activity of an organism, including the movements of the body, movements of limbs, the movement of heart, flow of blood and flow of lymph through the vessels, passage of food through the alimentary canal, flow of air through respiratory tract, etc. So all the movements are just created or caused with the help of muscular tissue. When we talk of movements are of two types in our body. Some movements are voluntary movements which can be initiated or stopped by the will of the organism. On the other hand, some movements are there which are not controlled by the will of the organism. So on those basis, muscles are also of two types, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary muscles are the muscles which bring about movement which are according to the need and will of the organism. Likewise, involuntary muscles are present at the places where movement are not under the control of the organism. A third type of muscle is called cardiac muscle, which is present in the heart. It is present in the heart, and heart movements are also not under control of the organism. So basically, function wise, cardiac muscles are also involuntary, but they have some other features which are different from involuntary. That's why there is another separate group of cardiac muscles. So basically, muscular tissue are of three types: voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles and cardiac muscles. Voluntary muscles are the muscles which work according to the organism's will. Involuntary muscles are the muscles which do not work according to organism's will, and cardiac muscles are the muscles present in the heart of the organism. So let's discuss it one by one. The first muscle is voluntary muscle. As the name suggests, it is called voluntary muscle because it works under the control of the organism's will. It is also called striated muscles because these muscles show striations. You can see alternate light and dark bands are present. Some lining like structures are present. Alteration of coloration is present. Dark bands, light bands, dark band, light band. So alternate light and dark colored bands are present, which gives it a striations. So that's why it is called striated muscle. And also it is called skeletal muscles because these muscles are attached to bones. These muscles are voluntary and the movements are always according to organism's will. So these are present in the limb area, in the hand, legs, and there it is attached with the bones of those muscles. So that's why these are also called skeletal muscles. So these three names refers to a single muscle, voluntary, striated or skeletal muscles. It forms more than 80% of the soft tissue in a vertebrate body. These muscles show alternate coloration. These have blunt ends. The ends you can see are blunt, non-tapering ends. These are long, narrow and cylindrical. These are multinucleated. A single cell contains more than one nucleus, and this situation is called multinucleated. You can see various nucleus are present in a single fiber. It shows alternate light and dark bands. These muscles are arranged in bundles. Each muscle fiber is attached with another one and they form bundle. And these bundles are present on the both sides of the bones. These are always attached to bones and fibers are unbranched. Each fiber is enclosed by a thin plasma membrane called sarcolemma. It is found in limbs, tongue, pharynx, etc. Hands, legs, tongue, pharynx, etc. are the places where there is movement according to organism's will. It is also found in the body wall, in the neck area. So we can move our neck. All the places where movement is according to our will, these muscles are present. These work under the control of the organism's will and it help in movement of body parts and locomotion. They help in several voluntary movements of the body. These muscles get tired soon and these require relaxation after a certain gap. So these points are the characteristic. Upper 6 points are the characteristics of the voluntary muscles. This is the occurrence and this is the function of voluntary muscle. The next tissue is involuntary. It is involuntary as it do not work according to the will of the organism, but it work according to the need of the body. It is also called unstriated because you can see no striation or coloration is there. It is uniform in color, whether light or dark, but the entire tissue is of similar color. No lining or stripes is there. It is also called smooth muscle due to the same reason. These muscles have long and narrow tapering end, pointed ends. You can see these have tapering pointed ends and they are having a single nucleus. This situation is called uninucleated. So these have tapering end, smooth with uniform coloration and are uninucleated. These fibers are generally shorter than the striated muscles and these are arranged as sheets side by side. These are arranged as sheets and forms a layer. These muscles occur within the walls of internal organs except heart and in the places where involuntary actions takes place like blood vessels, alimentary canal, urinary bladder, genital tract, etc. They also occur in the iris and ciliary muscles of eyes and in the dermis of skin. Wherever there is the movement which are not under the control of organism's will and their functions, that these work according to the need of body, not according to the will of the organism. Their contractions are rhythmic. They contract slowly but they can remain contracted for longer period of time as compared to striated muscles. So these can work for a longer period of time. So these are the characteristics of involuntary muscles. The third muscular tissue is called cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscles consists of short cylindrical fibers which are branched and are joined end to end, means these are arranged as networks. These have blunt ends. You can see blunt ends, and also you can see the branches which is making it as a network form. Each fiber may contain one or two nucleus, means it may be uninucleated or multinucleated. Cardiac muscles are present in the heart, pulmonary veins and vena cava. These are confined in this area, in the region of heart. Nowhere else these are found. The functions of cardiac muscles, that it do not work according to the organism's will, but they work continuously in a rhythmic pattern. They never stop working, and in a rhythmic pattern they always contract and relax, which cause pumping of blood. So these are the characteristics of cardiac muscles, which are found only in the heart and are made up of short cylindrical fibers with blunt ends. These are branched and arranged as networks. These may have uni or multinucleated state. These show fainted cross striations. Fainted linings may be present. These do not work according to organism will, but work continuously in a rhythmic pattern. The fourth tissue of animals, we have studied that animal tissue are divided in four categories: epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous. So the fourth tissue is the nervous tissue. Now we are going to study about the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue contains densely packed nerve cells. A single nerve cell is called neuron. So a single unit of nervous tissue is called neuron. It is present in the nervous system of the body, that is in the brain, spinal cord and sense organs. The neurons are typical cells responsible for conduction of impulses. A neuron is the longest cell present in the human body, sometimes 90 to 100 centimeters long. The neurons are specialized for conduction of nerve impulses. They receive stimuli from the surrounding, sometimes within the body and sometimes outside the body, and conduct these impulses or signals which travel from one neuron to another neuron. So neurons form a wire-like structure. They are connected continuously and form a wire-like structure, and this wire-like structure helps in conduction of impulses from one place to another place. The structure of a neuron is different from other cells as it has a special feature. Each neuron is composed of three parts: the cyton, this circular structure, the cyton or the cell body, the dendrite and the axon. The cyton is also called cell body. It contains the major portion of cytoplasm. The major portion of cytoplasm is present in this area, in this cyton, and also the nucleus is present over there. The nucleus of the neuron is present in the cyton area. So central nucleus is present over here with major concentration of cytoplasm. It also contains very small particles called Nissl granules. Nissl granules are special structures, special granules present especially in neurons. Also it contains neurofibrils, which are fibrous structure. The second part of nervous tissue is called dendrite. Dendrites are short and much branched projections arising from the cell body. You can see from cell body branches are arising which are branched again. So these much branched and tapering structures arising from cell body is called dendrons. The dendrons are further branched into dendrites. The major portion arising from cell body is called dendron, and then dendron branched as dendrites. So dendron and dendrites are branches arising from the cell body. It provides a large surface area for connection with other neurons. Their function that these receive stimuli and conduction from surrounding, from atmosphere and from other neurons. They conduct nerve impulses towards the cell body, receive impulses or signals from nearby areas. It may be outside the body, it may be within the body, or it may be connected with other neurons. So it receives impulses and conduct those impulses to the cyton. The third part of nervous tissue is this tubular wire-like a structure called axon. It is a very long cylindrical process of uniform diameter arising from the cyton. Its length determines the length of the nervous tissue. It shows fine branching at the end, and these branches are called nerve ending. Each branch or nerve ending has a swollen structure which is called synaptic knob. The axon carry impulses away from the cell body towards the other neuron. After nerve ending, another neuron is connected. So axon carry impulses from cyton to other neuron. The synaptic knob of this part, that is the axon, is connected with dendrite of another neuron. So it carries impulses from one neuron to another. However, two neurons are not connected end to end. There is always a gap between nerve ending and dendrite of another neuron, and that gap is called synapse. The axon may be covered by myelin sheath. Such neurons are called myelinated neuron. These myelin sheaths have grooves, and this groove is called nodes of Ranvier. Some neurons may not have myelin sheath, and those are called non-myelinated neuron. So this is the structure of a typical neuron. Neuron cells are special cells, and that's why they have some special characteristics which are not found in the typical cell. A neuron never divides. So number of neuron is always fixed in an organism. It never divides, and hence the number never increases. Neurons never repair themselves when these are injured. So the damaged or injured neurons are not repaired. Also, neurons cannot survive in lack of oxygen for more than a few minutes. So these are some special characteristics of a neuron, which is the structural unit of a nervous tissue. Now students, here are some questions based on today's video. So watch the video carefully and try to answer these questions. The very first question is, differentiate between striated and unstriated muscles on the basis of structure. In this question, you have to differentiate both the muscles, striated and unstriated, on the basis of their structure, like their ends, whether it is blunt or tapering, number of nucleus present, striations found, whether. So on these basis, you have to differentiate between the two. In the second question, you have to mention the places in human body where smooth muscles are found. So you will name the places where you can find smooth or involuntary muscles in human body. The third question is, how cardiac muscles are different from involuntary muscles. Here you will explain the difference between involuntary and cardiac muscles. Function wise, cardiac muscles are also involuntary. So now what makes them to keep in a separate group? You will tell about the structural difference, like striations present in cardiac muscles but those are not present in smooth muscles. Number of nucleus, whether any difference is there on the basis of number of nucleus. The end, which type of end is found in smooth muscles and which type of end is found in cardiac muscles. How smooth muscles are arranged and how cardiac muscles are arranged. So on these points you will get the differences. And the fourth question is to draw a well-labeled diagram of a neuron. Here you will draw a neuron and you will label its parts. Thank you, students.